Commander.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything new and exciting happening down the street? Your guys' place of employment?
Always.
Keeping on, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as your head's.
Okay. I think there's several agreements about it.
I feel like I might have just bobbed back up.
There it is.
It is coming in.
So you never sent me that picture. Is John coming?
Structures.
I think he's just.
Oh, okay.
He's actually employed.
Your company.
Should probably bring my computer. Should be good.
Here's what he sent me. I didn't download it. It is a rough draft. You want me to mail it to
Oh,
you?
and see how it says getting forwarded to Kathy?
I did. Yeah,
Okay, can I do that?
that surprised me at all. I can send it to you now. I thought. This is mock-up drawing.
Okay, it is 3 o'clock. I'll call this meeting to order. Are we online? Great. Is there any public comment? We have you on the agenda after this. Any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing no public comment, I'll look for a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
I'll make that motion.
You cannot.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from July 24th, 2025 meeting.
We have a motion from Mr. Gottsinger. I'll second that motion. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I do not believe that the meeting minutes and the agenda are in a format approved by the county clerk, which is required in statute 5923 of the Wisconsin State Statutes. Also, Article 5 of the county ordinances, Section 2-192 for rules, and Sections 2-266 and 2-267 is required by joint committees. So I will ask for a roll call vote.
Can you send me those references?
I can.
Okay, roll call vote on the minutes, please.
John Kenyon,
Yes.
Jerry Biller, Ron Freeman,
No.
Mayor Gottsinger.
Yes.
So the motion fails.
Okay, item 4, discussion and action on the Gateway Pavilion. There's 2 things going on there.
See it over
Anywhere
here
you
again?
want.
Okay.
I didn't know that this was under joint management though. It says in here it's joint tourism board.
It still is. We haven't adopted this agreement.
I just never knew we've never discussed the pavilion ever in joint management.
I have the agreement,
Yeah.
if you wanna see it here.
I found several agreements about it because there's been there's several lots there that are actually owned by the city, and there's agreement to allow the county to use them because a lot of county employees park there. So I think the most current agreement says the county provides maintenance, but they're owned by the city, and it will be overseen by this committee.
You good, let me go, Joe.
Huh? Wow, yeah, this is the first time I ever heard of this one.
That's because it usually goes so smoothly. And these are good things that I'm gonna ask about. So first, the farmer's market, who regularly uses the Gateway Pavilion, has been approached about 2 public art projects that would be in this lot. So the first is an effort by Mr. Hoover and Mr. Bale to, they acquired the sign from the old grocery store, the Ladysmith Fresh Market sign, and are proposing to put it, so when you come over the top of the bridge where the tornado memorial is now, that's the sign, just beyond where the tornado memorial is. And it would serve as an entrance or a gateway to the Gateway Pavilion. So no public funds involved. They're actually recycling the old beer garden stage from the fairgrounds. So it, again, would be a nice public art project. It would be a nice entrance into the market from, right now we have the sign that's on the western end of the market, and so this would be on the eastern part of the market, you know, where we've been trying to upgrade the landscaping and things like that. So I think it would serve as a nice entrance to the lot and to the market. It would be, you know, just down a little bit from the Welcome to Ladysmith sign. And, but because it's public property, you know, we wanted to come and ask if it would be okay if that was installed there. So that's the first project. Do you guys want to deliberate on that before I ask about the second one?
Just, can you clarify, I'm having trouble picturing where this is gonna go, on the, so the east side of the pavilion or the east side of the lot?
So it would be along the, like, where the landscaping is,
Along
Right.
Lake Avenue or?
along Lake Avenue,
Okay.
where the landscaping is. So as you come, make the turn from 8, there's the Welcome to the City of Ladysmith sign, and then there's the 2 big round planters. And it's basically in between where the 2 big round planters are. Out.
Would it be between them, to the north of them, or to the south of them?
So it would be then closer to the lot.
Okay. My only concern would be blocking any viewing of oncoming traffic.
Yeah, I think it's
People
over the
exiting.
sidewalk. It's over the sidewalk, and then they're incorporating in benches. He has some benches, so it would be seating and all that. So it would not, I don't believe, impede view, traffic or anything like that. It would be between where the current landscaping is and the parking lot.
John Hoover did a couple of layouts, couple of elevations on what he envisioned for this. It's his vision, you know, and I think he has a pretty amazing experience in his vision, and he shared a little bit with me, and it's mostly having to do with the metal from the trailer that all that stage sat on. So we cut it up into pieces, and he's gonna sink those into the ground. There's gonna be 4 pillars. I don't know if you guys wanna see this elevation. This isn't a final drawing of it, but this is one side of it, where you don't see the sign. And then the other side would be like this, that would be facing the highway. But back it up so it doesn't impede traffic.
Okay.
Back it up so that it's out of the way of the parking lot, so we don't lose any parking spaces out there. So there's the sign with the old sign from the grocery store.
And it is marked right now. If you go out there, there's
Yeah.
flags, American flags in the garden
That's
space.
his elevation,
where it would be-
it's just a rough sketch, and then he came up with that.
So it's basically within the planters.
Yeah, we've talked a few.
He ran it by Kurt. Kurt said, didn't see any problems with it.
And
And that's
how high
one
would
end
the
and then the
posts?
other side,
So you could walk underneath it. It'd be.
yeah. I should have had better prints them off, but I,
Dan,
They're asking how high is the?
How tall it would be?
you could stand underneath it, so I think he's like 7 feet of height, And then the roof and everything would be above that, so it's between 7 and 8 feet above the ground. That's why we needed all that metal.
The idea is it would be a walkway.
A
like
walkway.
An arch, and then seating underneath it.
Okay. And again, it's to the east of the pavilion?
Yes.
The one that's got the two
Yeah.
cutouts of
Yeah, it's in the parking part.
Okay. But it's not gonna take any parking?
No, no, it's in the landscaping area, the landscaped area. Currently landscaped area, so doesn't impact parking. It's just,
and you guys all know John Hoover, you know, and he's not only gonna do something that's built well, built strong, and aesthetically, I think it'll add an appeal to the market and to our little town, and I think it's gonna be a good project when we're all done. With no cost, by the way, did we mention no cost to anybody?
so do you wanna hear about the second one, or you wanna?
I'll make a motion to approve the art project.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Your motion is to allow
Sign.
the farmer's market organization to build the sign in the landscaping area near the corner of Lake Avenue and Third Street between the sidewalk and the parking space.
Yeah.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. So, a local artist, Andrea Koferl, is that how you say her last name? She has, Inspired by Nature, is the name of her company. So she does wood carvings, among other things. A lot of her work's displayed at Toad House and different places. So she has a big, very big stump that she has offered to carve for the market. So it would have the logo and then various things that you buy at the market, right, like carrots and potatoes, I don't know, yeah, carved into it. And that would be, so there's the grassy area where the picnic tables are, that was, hey, they passed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in time. So she would make a wood carving, and that would go in the grassy area. So if you're familiar with, in the parking lot part, the kids area that was built, or the grassy area that was built when they built the pavilion. So we would put it in the southwest corner.
So this is closer to the alley further.
Yes,
So.
Yeah.
Near.
yeah. And again, no cost, it would just be a public art piece that would be located there, that would be tied to the farmer's market. She's very talented, if anybody's familiar with her work. And if you wanna table it and get a sketch from her, we can, but again, because it's public property, I didn't think that it was okay to put things there without getting permission.
Mr. Ewer, do you have any concerns about additional things going in that area with the
Less to
maintenance
mow.
going on there? You have to mow around all these things though, and
I'd say as long as there's some type of edging around it to where we can get up to it without having to worry about summer help damaging something with a weed whip or anything like that, I have no concerns.
I will make a motion that we allow placement of the carving in that designated area.
I'll second it.
we have a motion and a second to allow the farmer's market organization to place a carving in the grassy area on the east side, not the grassy knoll.
Even young guys like that.
I'd say to the east of the market pavilion.
Okay.
Is that a fair description of the area? Any other discussion?
Do you know what the diameter of the stump might be?
I don't. She said they were gonna bring it in with a skid steer. And then we talked about putting a concrete pad, on a concrete pad. So,
The city has, on occasion, manhole rings that can be fairly large concrete that
That'd
Could-
be nice.
provide a protective barrier around the base of it,
Okay,
depending on what we might have in stock.
perfect. That'd be great.
Just a thought.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Thank you. And
That was a
I-
2-for-1, I guess. I had 2 items for you on the agenda, but really it's 2-for-1, so.
All right, and then the gutters, you could
Go ahead.
move on to the gutters. So the pavilion where the farmer's market is, the Gateway Pavilion, was not built with gutters. And it's very large roof, and when it rains, it's very difficult to have a market or events inside. And so the market would like to put gutters on the pavilion. We would take the lead in hiring the contractor. We're currently fundraising. Tourism has committed $500 to it. The city of Ladysmith has committed $1,000 to it. The bid is $2,800. So if it's okay with you, once we get the funds, we would like to hire the contractor to put gutters on the building. So the gutters would be seamless aluminum gutters, musket brown, around the exterior perimeter, with 4 downspouts, elbows, and miters.
Where would the drains for the gutters run to?
Yeah, so we're still trying to figure that out. Oh, well, they would run to, there's 2 manholes in the middle on either side, and the pavilion itself is graded toward those 2 giant manholes. They're in the middle. The one on the north side is pretty much in the middle of the pavilion. The one on the south side is 60% to the east of the pavilion. It's not right in the middle. So in order to minimize the number, the concern is we don't want to lose spots. Right now it's a problem for all 18 spots. But depending on where we put them, how to run it so that when it's raining and all that water is coming off the roof down the downspout into somebody's spot. You know, I think it's graded, if you go, it's graded very well toward the manholes. So probably just the 4 corners, and then we would use extensions during a market to push the water out beyond the spot.
Yes.
I'm thinking that the term that would probably work better is inlet versus
Oh, okay.
manholes.
Okay.
Manholes can be inlets as well, and these probably are both. But manholes typically can carry sewage, and
Oh,
we're not allowed to introduce fresh water into those.
inlet, thank you for the correction.
Inlet refers to stormwater only.
That's where the water goes now.
So how far from the inlets would the downspouts be? I ask because I'm concerned about spring and fall turning the parking lot into an ice rink, dumping a lot of water on it.
Well, we can put the downspouts in the middle, or we can put them as close to in line with them as we can. On the north side, for sure, you know, because they'll come in and then they'll run down the pole and out. You know, you don't want extenders because people drive over there and would drive over them. But again, the problem on the south side is that it's not in the middle, right? So if you're draining, you're only gonna drain 35% from the one end and 65. And we've walked around and looked at it. Do you have anything you wanna add?
Yeah, well, yeah, my suggestion is close to the storm sewer as possible. And it's not gonna catch 100% of the water anyway. I mean, it's gonna catch, 90% unless you have a big deluge, But I would suggest just putting them as close to the storm sewer as possible. That's my opinion. But what do you think, John?
I think that'd be better. Like I said, my concern is spring and fall. Obviously, there's no farmer's market in March when it would be a
Right.
ice rink there, but there's a lot of people that park in there year round, so. Any concerns about that, Mr. Ewer?
We'll keep an eye on it, we should be okay here.
So I think you could do, a downspout on the north and south side near the storm sewer. I don't know if that would be enough volume for the length of the gutters. You might,
So they were gonna do two,
Right,
right, so they would split it,
okay.
right, split so it's half of each side, so there'd be 4.
Would there be two near the center on the north side and two near the center on the south side?
If you
Okay.
want them in the center, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it needs 4,
That's-
so.
And they make oversized downspouts too.
Who are the quote? You got at least one quote? Who's it from?
Yeah, so it's KZ Gutters, is, Zach Taylor, but he's doing it, Tom, how do you say his last name?
Novakovic.
Novakovic is mentoring him, so it's Tom's Gutters, basically, the new evolution of Tom's Gutters.
The most recent evolution.
Yes. Right, yes, but, and, he's, I think, a well-respected gutter installer, so.
Okay, we don't have any money to give for this. We can't if we wanted to, but, we would have to approve the,
It's really permission, I'm just asking permission to do something to a government structure.
any other questions? I'll seek a motion. Motion for Mr. Biller to allow the installation of gutters on the Gateway Pavilion.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Grotzinger. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Anything else about the Gateway Pavilion you want us to know?
Yeah, come walk through on Saturday mornings and Wednesday afternoons. Thank you very much.
Thanks. You are welcome to stay, but we put you at the beginning, so you
I
didn't feel
appreciate that.
pressured to be here.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, moving on, item 5, discussion and action on financials. Attached in the packet is a collection of the documents. Ms. Heath, anything you wanna highlight in the, first in the packet is revenues, anything you wanna highlight in there?
Hooper did, come in, we have switched them over to ACH. So I just was notified by the treasurer's office that that has gone through well, so, that's the only change, is that they're good for August now. It just hasn't booked, to my records yet.
Mr. O'Keefe is a little behind with his bear bait.
So he typically pays at the end, so he'll come in and make good at the end.
Bear season starts next week, so he should be flush with cash.
Oh, okay. And then on West Cove, I had sent a letter and I haven't received a, check yet.
Is he, there's a lot going on at the bowling alley this week. Is he
He
out or mostly?
claims he will be out by September 1st. The only stuff left in there is going to a family member who has a bowling outfit. So, is my understanding anyway.
Well, we're still several months behind with him there.
It would appear.
I'm a little, can you catch me up on all of the things at Fritz? We is there something in the northwest refrigeration space?
That's where San Joaquin is.
Okay, they overlap there so that was that space, okay. That's what I thought, I couldn't quite remember. And then at the Enterprise Center, that's all full as well, correct?
Yeah.
Any questions about the revenues? Moving on to expenses. Anything significant you wanna highlight there?
So, the only thing I wanted to point out is that you'll notice that all of the cost allocations have hit. So our finance department does those entries in June. And the cost allocations are mainly maintenance time.
And those are split evenly amongst the properties, is that what it looks like? And not attributed specifically to,
Yeah, finance has their formulas for determining cost allocations, but yes.
any questions about the expenses? Yes.
Maybe just one question, Ashley. The cost allocation for 1402 Jez, obviously Jez itself was unoccupied, and you've put the revenues from the Meadowbrook Road property in that area. The cost allocation had enough in the budget to handle this cost allocation?
You mean, is there enough revenue to cover it?
Well, I think in the case of the blower and so on, that wasn't, or was the blower on Dowdy?
That was Dowdy.
Okay. And that has a cost allocation. I guess maybe I'm asking for Dowdy. Was there enough in the budget for that cost allocation?
Oh, yes, that is budgeted for, yes.
Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Any other questions about the expenses? Profit and loss analysis is next in the packet. Anything to highlight there?
The only question I had was, have we billed the city yet for the last set of utility invoices?
I just approved, I didn't, what was it, date, but
Okay.
just had one come across my desk.
Okay, cause then I think we should be square, because then Indec took over July 1, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's the only thing I would highlight. The reason, the reason Forest One is showing a loss right now is because of all of the repairs that we did, but remember, profit and loss statement doesn't account for the fact that we did transfers into, so the, budgetarily, it will come out fine at the end of the year, but it is gonna show a loss.
It all equals 0 at the end of the year anyway.
Yes, correct, and then, that loss will look a little bit better, and then Forest Two will be showing a little bit more of a profit once that utility reimbursement comes back in.
And then I know we talked about this when we were doing budget stuff last month. You're going to continue listing both of these properties. No, we're calling it it's one tenant. So you're gonna put everything on one of these properties?
Yeah, so I think, are we gonna keep calling it Forest, or did you change the name to Indec? Yeah, I think, were you wanting to refer to it as Indec?
We can.
Okay.
I think there's stuff in the budget documents that refer to it by 100-year-old names and other places.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
so, as long as we, are consistent.
But what we have proposed to the finance committee is essentially starting to phase out one of the two budgets.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's all one budget now.
That's what I thought I remembered. Any questions about the profit and loss? Okay, next are several budget reports. I think every one of them has a box that says check if no concerns. That is checked, so any concerns that aren't really concerns? A motion to approve the budget reports by Mr. Biller.
Second.
A second by Mr. Freeman. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the budget report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And just to clarify, that was for all of the budget reports, we weren't doing them individually. Okay, anything else financial related?
So, if you guys remember, you sent a budget amendment request to the finance committee last time for those blower motors, and just an update that that did pass the county board, so we'll take care of that on our end to get that transferred in.
That should, we're at the end of the year, I don't know, there shouldn't be more coming. That was one of, because we weren't expecting any revenue there, so that's kind of the problem with that, but, that should be the last amendment we have to be responsible for, I hope. We don't have any significant uncollected rent. We do list the sheriff's office. Has the property committee, there was some discussion about finding a suitable location for them.
Yeah,
Is that discussion
Well-
continuing?
yeah, next week we have.
We began the discussions.
Yeah.
What to do there.
I think personally I'm okay with that as long as they're actual discussions, cause it's been a long time. And we're, I guess there hasn't been discussions in the past, so at least we're hearing discussions, so that's good. Okay, facilities management. Mr. Yu, or anything significant?
I we getting lots of work done, just nothing that I'd put on the significant side.
Okay.
So I can run through that now, whereas we get to each building, whichever is preferred.
It's up to you, I guess. We can go through them when we talk about each individual building. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Anything that's come to your attention? We did already approve budget stuff last month. Anything we need to capture for capital improvements, major projects upcoming that we didn't have in that?
Nothing major has come to light.
So the 4 of us got an email. I was gonna mention this in public comment, but I wanted to wait until you're up. We got an email from Stephanie Christensen about, I just forwarded to you, about lights on the exterior of the building, the Gates Avenue building.
Yep. And I'd actually just ordered lights today to replace those. We went to replace bulbs, the other beginning of this week, and found that a lot of those fixtures themselves are actually burnt out and need to be replaced, so.
My first thought was wondering if there's a switch that controls and that nobody's in those parts of the building and they might just be off.
Gotcha. Yep.
Okay, just so you're aware of that.
Yes, sir.
Did I?
Complains about me having too many lights on, but.
Yeah, next time the complaint will be too high of an electric bill.
Right.
Okay, individual buildings, unless anybody has anything specifically for Mr. Ewer. Enterprise Center.
All right, so we got the new doors installed to 119 and 120, which is where the Barefoot Painters are. Those matched up, fit really well, so now we have numbers. If we want to continue replacing rotten doors on that building, we know what'll fit.
Are those steel doors comparable in construction to the originals?
Actually, they're a little bit better.
In what way?
More sturdy and no window for people to be looking inside.
Do you think it might be useful to put kick plates on the exterior of those?
Yep, we're waiting, Barefoot Painters actually offered to paint those for free for us. So once those are painted, we're gonna get some, security so people can't fiddle with the locks, kick plates, and then sweeps will go on.
I think that probably led to some of the deterioration of the ones that are being removed. So it's not a lot of dollars to put them in up front.
Absolutely. So beyond that, we power washed the building, got the backside good and cleaned up. The bathroom in the back section, so outside, back for the bus garage, their hot water heater went out. So we switched that over to an on-demand system, and that's working a lot better for them. As well, it was brought to our attention that there was a for the first time, I guess it's been ongoing that there's a toilet that constantly causes issues, plugs easily, runs all the time, so we went ahead, got that one replaced and refurbished the other two toilets within. Replaced all the interior lights in the bus garage, as well as a couple over in Barefoot Painters area. Got a new eye wash station put in. When we tested it, the old one that was in there was just in bad shape, very dirty, leaking, so, a new eye wash went in.
Are we required to provide an eye wash station for, I feel like we might take on some liability if we're providing that there.
There was one currently there, so I just kept it.
So we have to maintain it then at that point?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not sure as far as OSHA if they would require it or not, but there was one there, so. I know Barefoot Painters, they do a lot of spraying, so that might be a situation where if there's, compressed air, there needs to be an eye wash, would be my guess as to why one's there.
Something we might wanna check into, because OSHA requires that all eye wash stations be checked weekly. So, it'd be good to determine whose liability it is with those eye wash stations.
Who has the lease for, is it in the Barefoot Painter space?
It's in the back, kind of that shared area, that bathroom area between the bus garage and Barefoot Painters.
Yeah, that's a designated common area, that loading dock.
Who has the leases for Barefoot Painter? Do you?
We both
We
do.
both, yeah, we share.
Can we, can the two of you look at that and see if it mentions that we will provide something like that? And then maybe check and see if they require something like that, cause I don't know, I'd worry about somebody thinking that, seeing one there and then thinking they can use it and it hasn't been inspected in years, or do you have to have a license to inspect them? I don't know, do you have to have somebody? So,
Don't have to be licensed, they're just ANSI standards that must be met as far as water temperature, height of the stream, pressure.
And all those we do, all the ones that we know of, we run weekly, check, make sure those lines will get dirty and kind of orange at first, so we'll make sure to hit it, clean lines out.
Perfect.
All that.
okay, go on.
That's what I've got for Enterprise.
Okay. Any tenant concerns or anything out there?
Not that I
Anything on the Enterprise Center?
still out there.
Oh, hey, thank you for reminding me. Someone is going to, hopefully, if we can connect tomorrow morning before I leave for the day, be removing that this weekend.
Awesome.
Yeah, it took forever, and he was so funny. I called him and I said, hey, I finally got the title, and he goes, I thought you were hilarious when you said you'd get back to me in 2 weeks. You've not worked with the state much, have you? And so, yeah, that was like a month and a half ago, because I thought I'd get the title faster. But that should be taken care of.
Who's taking it?
Martin's Heavy Towing from south of Bruce. Okay, yeah, I
I think they took some of the trailers that were there before.
Oh, okay,
The
great.
city's ones.
Okay. Oh, from
One was
from
split.
5R or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Fritz Avenue, Mr. Ewert?
All right, so we had an entryway light fixture in the clinic side that burnt out, so that was replaced today actually. As well as did a little bit of concrete patching, around their entry door. In the past, it had some water kind of get through some cracks in the block, so, we got that all taken care of. It was brought to our attention by, Mr. O'Keefe that handle, on the man door into where he's storing his bear bait was given some key issues, which when we went through it, yeah, it was, in bad shape, so we got that handle replaced. The same tumblers in it, so the same keys can be used, but now that's locking properly. The Dahlstrom, you had sent that email after I missed our last meeting. Those door seals, we got those replaced, and those guys were very happy to get to see that work done. And then also, they had emailed about that office that is currently for rent, where we'd had some mold issues before. So in the last month, we replaced the condensate pump that is on the furnace that sits on the mezzanine above the area. It looks like that pump had gotten weak, and so when it was filling with water, it wasn't pumping proper, which caused a little bit of water leakage. So that pump's replaced, working proper. We cleaned up what mold had grown last time, and then we started seeing it pop out on doors again. So I again went ahead and had the guys take down ceiling tiles. We've got fans and dehumidifiers run 24/7. Currently, we have fans running in there, just doing our best to get it dried out. Kind of investigating deeper as to what's going on, why do we continue to have this issue in there? We're gonna hopefully narrow it down. If not, if it goes beyond what we can do, I'm gonna come back and see about, maybe getting a professional in there. We can't have mold growing on doors and ceiling tiles in there, so. You do our best to get it fixed ourselves, but I know in the past, professionals had come in and done mold remediation in there, but here we're right back at it where we started, it seems like, so.
I don't know if, it's easy enough to get somebody to remediate mold, but I think we have to find a cause.
Exactly.
I don't
So hopefully,
do that, but.
right, so hopefully now that we have everything pulled down, we can get it dried out and really, nothing jumped out as like overly wet to us. We did see some spots where maybe in the past some water had gotten inside. So we're gonna keep eyes on it daily and hopefully be able to find our main issue here, so.
Is there any damage up in the mezzanine where that furnace is from the same leaking? Or?
There was particle board on the floor that's bubbled up, but as far as like, nothing out of the ordinary for a little bit of water coming out. And then also, nothing above, which was kind of odd. Looking at maybe if there's a roof leak, it's somehow getting into a wall and then coming down. So we're gonna explore that option as well, see what we got going on.
What's above the ceiling tiles there?
It's a little bit of just pink insulation and then the mezzanine floor. It's only about 9 inches of separation. So, and that's a dry system too. We had looked at maybe like sprinklers were leaking or something, but, no issues there either.
Anything else for Fritz?
That's all I've got.
Okay, ADF. Anything going on out there? Jez Road, Dowdy Road, infill building in deck. Well, we talked about the blower motors. Has that concrete gone in yet?
I don't think it has yet, but I haven't been out there in a minute.
I went by Tuesday and didn't look like anything.
I think he was looking at waiting the season to be able to get to that.
Which bid did we take on that was a contractor?
Premier, Michael Nelson.
I think he's pretty far behind on quite a few projects. Anything else out there? Gates Avenue, we talked a little bit about Mr. West. He is, says in today's paper, today's paper, he hopes to be open by the end of this month. So he should be getting stuff out pretty quickly.
A&M Fiberglass was still having issues with their driveway with the work that was done. I don't know if we can.
Is it soft out there yet? Squishy? Is that?
Yeah.
So when after you brought in all that gravel, I just took a look back there, and my thought was there's a culvert that kind of dumps to which direction is that now? South. And it doesn't really drain to anywhere. And I didn't know where it was coming from. The administrator mentioned it was from the parking lot there somewhere. So there might be quite a bit of water coming into that, and it's probably just going back under that parking lot. I don't know.
There's a really odd situation there. If you walk to the south a little ways, the last time I was back there, there's a pond back there, which appears to have a higher elevation than the floor of the plant. It's almost the highest spot in the area, which shouldn't be unless there's underground pressure pushing up, but there's no hill nearby that should create that situation, so I don't know why that is, but I've been back there and seen it.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing when we did that work, and we had warned them that, I dug it out best I can with the time and equipment I had. No.
City may have to look at altering its stormwater system up there to maybe drop the level of that pond a little bit, provided that's no DNR issue, but, it's really odd. It'd be almost like an artesian well situation, except there's no hill nearby.
The thought I had was that it might need some ditching along that culvert, just to give whatever comes out of that culvert somewhere to go, but. Yeah, if the pond it's supposed to be running to is uphill, it probably won't run to it.
Surface there does naturally drain toward the river to the east, and there have been a couple houses built in there, one way back in the 70s that I think probably cut off the natural drainage course a little bit. That didn't help matters.
Do you, either of you think any additional crushed rock gravel it looked when I was out there last like it was kind of hitting out already or getting a little low. Do you think any of that plus some ditching might help? I see there's, at least right now, $30,000 in profit on gates.
My thought there was if we could get it smoothed out, let it freeze down and settle for a season, and then come back in the spring and thaw out, and get another load of gravel on and get it packed, I think that would help tremendously.
I would think some sort of geomat or geogrid, cause if there's a bunch of water underneath of that, no matter how much you add on top of it, I think it'll squish out anytime you drive a truck over it.
I don't know if you were on the council long enough to remember, John, that up on the corner of County J and West Fifth Street North.
Near the North Avenue.
Yeah, there's 17 feet of green clay underneath that corner, which never allowed it to drain properly until it was dug down deeper. And there could be a clay lens up there too. Underneath could be what the basic problem is. It's all sitting on a bowl in that case.
Yeah, when I dug that down, that's what I got to, was that clay base. I got all the soft stuff out, and yeah, that's a slippery slope when you start digging clay out, so I stopped at the clay base and built from there.
I know, like the Flambeau Avenue construction, that ended up with a lot of geogrid put in before that, final surface could go down, because it just wouldn't dry. So if you wanted to investigate that further or see, sitting for a season will probably help it, but we might have to do more there if that's gonna be their main loading area there.
And two others, if I may. I think last time we talked, Mr. Dussel was grabbing that old bleacher framework. And we had talked about that big old auger or whatever that was sitting tucked in the back that looks like it's just junk. Is that something we can take and just scrap out, or?
That would be my suggestion, yeah, I checked it today and that the auger is froze up inside. By the time you got it going, yeah, there's not enough there to try and salvage.
Okay, you need any authorization here to do that, or can you just take it and add it to the county scrap pile the next time you get rid of some scrap?
I think it's garbage, and if he disposes of garbage the way he disposes of garbage.
Fair enough.
Any objections? It looks like garbage.
Sounds good.
And then the loading dock areas just seem to have a lot of weeds growing up in them. I know there's not enough time in a day to do everything and not enough time in the week. We have the same issue out at, you know, the city-owned Rockwell plant, but that, you know, that crap grows up and then kinda moves the blocks around and stuff, so maybe if that's something that folks have time to get to, you know, even knock it out here or there along the retaining walls, I guess you'd call them.
Anything else at Gates? Okay, other properties, anything else about the Gateway Pavilion, I guess?
I would hope that we, transfer management of that to the, other committee as soon as possible. For the same reasons that we got out from under the ladder.
I agree. Anything else about our vacant land in the industrial park? Nothing. Okay, continuing down, number 8, the joint management agreement. Nothing significant changed in the first couple of pages here.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
On the index 501 Downey 1402 Jez Road infill, I believe the revenue is now the Meadowbrook Road property also is in that section as a budget. And so I'm wondering if that should also be added. I believe it's 1950 Meadowbrook Road is the address. So if that could be added to that, since the revenues are going into that budget.
Tell me about the Meadowbrook property.
Sure. 1950 Meadowbrook Road is across the street from Index manufacturing plant. It's where I've retired, but kind of, so anyway, that's where Indec puts their outdoor storage for finished product, as well as for pallet storage.
Is this a building or a lot for outdoor storage?
It's a lot that's been asphalt. Indec paid for the asphalt on that property. And so it's an old wood yard. That's what it was initially back in 2008-9 timeframe. And then I forget if it was the early 2000 teens, I believe. Indec paid for the asphalt on that. And again, it's for outdoor storage, or finished product, as well as packaging materials, the pallets.
So that was a county-owned property that was sold? Is that,
I believe it's still jointly owned.
it was jointly owned?
I was gonna ask, and maybe it's irrelevant, but is there a reason that Indec didn't buy it or didn't get deeded to Indec if they put the black tap on it?
That is a question for the corporate office of Indec, why it was not done. Indec does have a right of first refusal if there is an offer to purchase that property. But the choice was to lease the property. And so.
No taxes in it.
No taxes, but yeah, there's still money coming in, I guess, revenue wise.
So I guess I'm still confused. It was a jointly owned property. I don't know if I have noticed that we're collecting rent.
Under Forest 2 on the revenues. I mean, and 8/31.
Oh, I understand, okay.
98 is that through August. You think that paying some property tax would be cheaper. I don't think vacant land gets taxed that heavily here in our community.
Yeah, I have a recollection of what the offer to purchase price is. It's in the lease. Not having the lease in front of me, I'm not gonna say, but there is a value that Index could purchase the property. But again, the choice has been to lease the property. I believe there are a series of 5-year leases with a 3% per year escalator, starting on July 1st of each year.
Okay, we can add some information about that in the section about the new Index area.
And again, that would be 1950 Meadowbrook.
Yes.
Meadowbrook Road. So that's the vision.
You'll notice there's some slightly different fonts and stuff in here. That's, you know, just some slight changes based on our discussions. We get towards the end here. Last month, we just started with some discussion about Big D on page 6, committee makeup and logistics. These are just, I wrote these as bullet points. They're not real well thought out sentences. When I read this again last night on Big D, little a, I missed a part where it should say something about the vice chairman will be from the opposite government as the chairman.
And currently, there is no vice chairman. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, next meeting, you should probably have that re-election for that.
Yes, I don't know, we should, yes, I don't know if there's a past practice to do that immediately or wait for that seat to be filled. I don't know if we've,
You approve the individual as the vice chair, though not the seat, cause I think anyway on the county end, you know, some of your seats have sat vacant for a while, so you've put people from other districts on other committees, so. I'm also not an attorney though.
I don't know if I've seen that written in any kind of agreement, one of the multiple agreements that we operate under, so.
Be my thought anyway, that you'd put it on the next agenda though, and
Yes.
maybe that seat's filled by then, and
Yeah, it may be that the Committee on Committees for the county will meet within, you know, the time period between now and the next meeting, so that seat may be filled. Let's see.
And, okay, so that obviously makes me think that we should add a sentence or another paragraph in here saying in the absence, in the event the chairman or vice chairman vacates, what happens then? There'll be an election at the next meeting, I suppose. Okay, continuing down, we talked about maintenance, county will be responsible for that through the facilities management. And then finance will allocate those costs back to the properties that they work on. Leases, tenant relations, so going back in history to Andy Alvarado days when he was the economic development something, director, okay. That was a significant role of his to manage these properties, and he did most of the actual work of this committee. And now the county has engaged in a firm that is providing some number of hours per month of a person dedicated to economic development in Rusk County. I've thought about, I just remember that name in the paper now, but I've forgotten it. But I thought about inviting them to
BJ Rockman.
16 hours a week.
He's 16 hours a week, but yes, personnel though did pass that, the full-time economic development tourism director job description, so that still has to go to the board, but they
Okay.
did pass that on.
I was gonna, it was kind of an afterthought, but I was gonna invite him to this meeting just to see what we have for industrial properties and stuff, but I didn't know what his time requirements were or anything, so.
If you want that to happen, just let me know and I'll make sure that he can be available for the next meeting.
Okay, yes, can we remind me to ask you to invite him? But if the county has a position dedicated to economic development, that individual would be responsible for the tenants, taking concerns from tenants, managing the leases, and negotiating terms of those leases, under, and I'm not kind of down to number 2 there, under the terms set forth by this committee. We have in the past set square footage rates for different buildings, and just use that, and I think it's reasonable to allow an individual in an economic development position or the administrator, the coordinator, to engage in leases, you know, that meet those terms, those square footage dollars per square foot requirements that we set. I don't think we should have to wait for a month to approve a lease to get somebody to move in. If we said, we'll rent this space for $3 a square foot, somebody comes in the day after the meeting and wants to rent it for $3 a square foot, I think they can have the authority to approve that lease. Going down to number 3, this is still an economic development position, would coordinate with maintenance, if there's some kind of urgent need. I think of a furnace that needs to be replaced, and we're at some dollar amount that Mr. Ewer isn't comfortable spending without some kind of approval, but we don't wanna have a property without, you know, a furnace in February in Wisconsin, so, I started writing that sentence and I kinda ran out of words. There should be some kind of authorization. a
Junior, is
specific
there
dollar
a
amount.
floor level that you have?
I think we're both at 2,500. I think we asked for 5,000, but the committee at the time didn't trust our ability to make $5,000 purchases, so they said 2,500, which works for most things. I think most furnaces you can do for that, but.
No, can't even get one for that.
That number needs to be jacked up.
Yeah.
Well, that's up to you guys. So maybe, you know, you're ironing out a new agreement, which is all good and fine, but maybe another action item for next meeting then would be to raise that floor, and kinda set it based on what it costs for furnaces, since those are probably the biggest things other than having somebody do something with the sprinkler system that's going crazy, although you can shut the water off at least in the interim. Just my 2 cents.
Keep it consistent though with the city and county.
Yeah.
If we change our policy and it doesn't match the counties or the cities, we should keep it close to the same.
I think what this committee authorizes them to spend is not relevant to what the city authorizes the administrator to spend on city projects, and same with the county. I think if it's a jointly owned property, you know, it's our budget that they're spending it out of, so it's not, it doesn't the 2 of them should match, but what the administrator is allowed to spend on.
It's coming out of the county's mining fund.
Right.
that the rent goes into, so.
Well, and there, like, we can't spend more than budgeted either, so
Right.
that's,
So, I mean,
Safeguard
the way the
there.
county does it though, the chairperson has the authority to approve stuff over 2,500 till the next meeting. If it's an emergency deal, we have the authority to do purchases over the amount, and it gets approved at the next meetings.
Over 2,500? Is there still a ceiling on that, or, I mean,
And they gotta, each department's gotta figure out what's budgeted and how much they got in, you know, what's in the budget. But the chairperson does have the authority to work with the administrator and the facilities manager to figure out the best way to keep everything working till the next meeting.
Okay, so we could put in that if they're currently authorized 2,500, but, and then the chairman would be allowed to authorize up to a dollar amount, you know, if it's more than
They're
25.
usually in a dollar amount, depending on the budget, what's left in the budget and everything else. But if it's an emergency, you need heat, so. I don't know how our policy reads, but
Should that be written in, should that dollar amount be written into the agreement, into this agreement, or should it be approved by the committee regularly? You know, if this agreement,
Could you just, if I may make a suggestion, you know, that the dollar amounts are per county and city policies?
what if they don't match though?
Well, I mean, the city, you know, like, you've been suggesting that the city administrator has up to 2,500. And since this is, you know, the county budget, that the county's policies would, you know, help with, you know, up to the 2,500, you know, if, the county's economic development position, and then the chairperson could approve it if it's beyond the 2,500 in an emergency, you know, as long as, you know, it matches, you know, what the budget, you know, if it was within the budget,
Okay.
you know. If you say per the policies, then the policy from the property standpoint is that the chairman can approve, you know, above the 2,500. So with here, if it's a jointly managed property, the chairman of this committee would have the authority to go above the 2,500 as long as the budget was.
And there's no ceiling on it except for the budget, isn't that?
well, I mean, there's practical ceiling.
I mean, if it was, say, 50,000, I think that would.
Yeah, then you have a special meeting.
Right, that would require some special, but if it's, you know, 5,000, which is above the 2,500, I think that would be according to the
Yeah.
policy, because you've approved some on county
Property,
properties that were above that. Because I remember at one of the property committee meetings, we approved it afterwards, so.
Okay, I think that's reasonable. So should we have a ceiling on that approval? Cause like you're saying, it's kind of a judgment call if we wanna spend.
Depends on the
If it's
situation.
50,000, we call a special meeting, do we want, you know, who gets to decide, you know, what's reasonable, you know, and.
Depends on what breaks.
Right. And,
Ashley, do you have the county policy on that?
it's, I think $1,500 is the limit.
How much?
1,500, anything over $1,500 has to go to property. But I guess I would tend to agree with the chair that this is a joint committee that really doesn't run off of either city or county policies. It kind of is a body that sets its own policies. So if you guys can come to a consensus on the language, I think.
I think there should be a ceiling in it, just 'cause I don't wanna get to a point where it's, you know, 1 year we'll decide, you know, an emergency repair for a sprinkler system is an emergency and we'll spend $100,000 on it, you know, without having a meeting and then.
Another thing too we gotta watch is we can't spend too much or you you have your bid process that you gotta follow, and quote.
Right.
That's up around 25,000, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the state statute, yep, Jerry's right, yeah.
And above 10, is it quote?
Our policy, I think, is anything under 5 doesn't need quotes, anything between 5 and 25 needs at least 2 written quotes, anything above 25 goes for formal bid. Please don't quote me on those numbers, I don't have it pulled up, but it's something like that. I know the 25, but the lower dollar amounts I can't remember off the top of my head.
That might be good information.
Yeah.
I don't know if the cities are exact, but I think they're close.
But again, getting more big picture, I'm wondering if we wanna put actual dollar amounts in this, or if we want to, at an annual meeting, approve these dollar amounts. If in 5 years, the state law changes and it says if it's over $10,000, then you need to get proposals, right?
Another way you might deal with that is put a requirement in this agreement that it get an annual review and be reapproved on an annual basis.
The whole
The
agreement?
whole agreement, so that if anybody thinks anything needs tidying up, instead of leaving it sit for 30 years like we have, that we deal with it sooner, just a thought. And then, whatever amendment would be made would have to go through the county board and city council. But if there isn't, then they should.
Okay, so that section needs some more work yet. Continuing on, legal advice, we talked about, the ability we could either, both the county and the city have a lawyer. The problem that we have is they might not agree, and I think it'd be easy enough for us to hire a law firm that's separate from either one of them. That I don't feel like would cost a whole lot. We really don't have a whole lot of big issues, that would just review leases,
Well, I think that one we bring back, cause if we do hire an economic development director, he's gonna have more specialty in knowing what this is with the leases and everything.
Right, they'd be directly involved in the leases, but they should still be reviewed by an attorney and, I don't know if we would have to hire an attorney until we need one, or if we would have a regular one that would, here's the updated lease for whoever, review it. I don't know exactly what that process would look like yet. But we generally have enough revenue on all the properties to be able to pay for that. It's just a matter of budgeting it correctly. And then,
We need to get somewhat of a price before we put it in there.
right.
Otherwise, if it costs too much, we're not gonna do it. The city and the county are already paying for lawyers.
Right,
Might not be a specialty lawyer, but might pay for something more that you might only use once or twice a year.
right. Yeah, I think we have to investigate that a little more. But I think that would be the benefit to the committee, to have a third party that, we're not getting a city attorney opinion while you get a county attorney opinion, and if they're different, then we just sit here and look dumb. But, we're pretty good at that anyway, so. We could have a third party in that would be the legal opinion of the committee. Continuing down, minutes and agendas, we'll alternate back and forth with the chairmanship, but both of them will post the agendas and minutes in their regular locations. I then obviously they'd share them with each other. A few miscellaneous things, just to document in here that we would have the authority to hire people like engineers to draw plans and appraisers for the things we've done recently. I couldn't think of other professional or consulting services that we might wanna specifically put in there, but I think labeling it consulting and professional services, is kind of encompassing of anything we might run into. The chairman's appointing body will provide a meeting location with suitable audio-visual capabilities, public access, and photocopy and printing needs. Finances and budget. County Finance Department will provide regular reports to allow the committee to accurately assess the situation of each property, as well as preparing budget documents. All revenues from covered properties will be deposited into the county mining fund. All expenses related to covered properties will be withdrawn from county mining fund. There should be another, not necessarily all expenses, because there are funding sources besides the mining fund. In our revenues, if there's grants or other funding sources, that can cover expenses. Yes, sir.
Ashley, do you know when the county borrowing that formed part of the basis for this use of the county, to roll the dollars through, when that's paid off, is that 2029?
Or are you talking about when they put the debt on his general obligation? If you give me a second, I can probably find it for you.
Relatively sure it's 29.
So for benefit of
I don't
members
have
that
access
may
to
not
receipts.
know that, this was not a permanent situation.
See if we can find the email.
The county alone,
Okay.
once upon a time, I could go off on that, but I won't. Borrowed $3 million that was spent on 3 of these projects, along with the Tony Rail Yard, and they alone borrowed the money, but the city wanted to maintain an equal partnership, so allowed the county to collect all the rent revenues and pay all the expenses, so that whatever was left over when that was done could be applied toward paying down that $3 million borrowing. So that's what Ashley's looking to see that, so that's coming, probably gonna be paid off in 2029. For all I know, we could probably pay it off today with the money that's sitting there, but the debt may be such that if you pay it off early, there might be a penalty or something. At that point in time,
That's correct.
we should be getting back to a situation where we're splitting the dollars, we're splitting both the revenues and expenditures.
2029. So September is
So
the
we
plan.
should refer to that year, and then we're gonna need some language to go back to splitting revenues and expenditures. And right now, things are actually going well. We're taking in more than we're spending, which is what you would expect when you get a grant for $2 million to build a building. You shouldn't be losing money on it. But yet, a few years back here, we weren't doing very well because the management was terrible. And I think everybody in the room agrees to that. If everybody doesn't, raise your hand, and I'll take you in the back room here and explain why you're wrong.
Maybe we can add some language about that 2029 debt service obligation. The last line there, the county mining fund is pretty healthy right now, but I just wanted to put something in there in case something significant happens and that money tree dries up. I would have, can't say at all. And can we, if we don't have it budgeted, if neither government has, expenses budgeted, we can't just take money for an industrial property out of a general fund, or maybe we can, but, we probably shouldn't.
Probably operate like our TIF districts in the city, kind of outside of the, general budget.
Where does that money come from?
It's coming from taxes to begin with, but it's allocated and set aside with strings on it.
Okay, so my question is, what happens, we're putting a new, let's say we dry up the mining fund, it gets to be pretty low, and then ADF needs a new $80,000 thing on their roof, but we only have.
The city's rent revenue would have to be in part of its budget, and expenditures in another section. And those two numbers should be identical, really.
I think what you're getting at though, and it's maybe in one of the previous agreements, is that this body,
We can't obligate the funds of.
can't obligate the city or the county, so you'd have to maybe figure out a recommendation here. So let's say that $80,000, we vote that the county's gonna cover 75% of it and the city's gonna cover 25. That has to go to both respective bodies to pass probably a joint resolution to authorize that and identify the funding source and all that fun stuff. Just as an example. Was that kinda what you were?
Yes, and then, each government would have to have their own funding source, a legal funding source for it too, and that's kind of the second part of that problem.
Correct, or you could, if you were gonna do a borrow, maybe one entity could take on the borrow and then they could have a memorandum of understanding that whoever's not doing the borrowing is still paying their share back to that entity, just cause you probably get a better borrowing rate. It's going through one.
Something similar to the agreement for the 2029 debt, where that government collects all the revenue to pay off that debt.
Would be my thought.
Okay, so I haven't been putting this in the packet, because this isn't something we're taking action on yet, and I don't want, somebody to think this is this is a final document, but I'm definitely open to changes and additions and subtractions, I guess, and I think it's important that we get to a point, as we've talked before, we have maybe dozens of agreements that govern from the parking lot by the courthouse to the, 20 rail yard loan, and it's kind of wild to me to have so many agreements when sometimes they even conflict with themselves, so, I'd like to continue working on this, and, I'll take any input and, in the next couple of months, get it into the form of a resolution that can be approved by both the city and county to be the single governing document of this committee. Any input today on this? I guess we'll continue cleaning this up a little bit. Okay, no action required on that. Anything anybody else would like to circle back to on the agenda? Otherwise, we will set a meeting for the fourth Thursday of September, that is the 25th. At 3 p.m. again, does that still work for everybody?
Try to.
Did, is Brian's issue his overall volume of work, or would a 5:15 meeting in the afternoon have worked for him?
It was not the time, it was another reason. It was work-related, was my understanding.
I knew that, he was the one that wanted it moved to 3, so I wondered if 5:15 might have been even better, but.
It had nothing to do with the time,
Okay.
was my understanding.
Thank you.
Okay, September 25th, 3 PM, right here again. If there's nothing else, I'll seek a motion to adjourn. Got a motion and a second, all those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.